All right, so when you think of a world map, what comes to mind? Probably continents, oceans, right? The usual stuff. But what if I told you there's another map? A kind of secret map that's way more important for the nearly 2 million people who work at sea. This map doesn't show land. It shows danger. It's a chart that literally dictates their pay, their protection, and even their right to say, nope, I'm not going there.
So, what are the most dangerous waters in the world? And I'm not talking about giant storms or rogue waves here. The real threats, the ones people are tracking right now, are things like geopolitical conflicts, piracy, and straight-up war. And believe it or not, there's an official list that spells it all out. And this is it. For the 1.9 million seafarers out there, this is the map that matters. It's put out by the International Transport Workers Federation. You'll hear them called the ITF. And what it does is it carves up the oceans into different zones of risk. And let's be clear, these aren't just, friendly suggestions. These are hard contractual lines that carry some serious weight for everyone on board.
Okay, so to really get what this map is all about, we've got to decode its language. The ITF breaks down maritime danger into 3 main categories. Each one has its own set of rules, its own specific protections. So this table gives us the high-level breakdown. You've got 3 tiers of danger. At the very top, you have warlike areas. That's the most severe. And then you have things like extended risk zones, which are more for threats like piracy. Now look at the key differences here. In a warlike area, a crew member can flat out refuse the voyage. That's a huge deal. But that right isn't a given in an extended risk zone. So let's really dig into what these differences mean on the water.
Yeah, so this is the crucial takeaway here. These are not just lines on a map. They are quite literally a lifeline for seafarers. They make sure that if you're going to sail into harm's way, you're compensated for that risk. But maybe even more importantly, you have the right to just say no. All right, let's start at the top of the pyramid. We're going to dive into the highest alert level, the Warlike Operations Areas. As the name suggests, these are the places with the absolute most severe threats, but they also come with the strongest protections for the crew.
And this is a perfect real-world example. The waters off the coast of Yemen, right through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and into the Gulf of Aden, that whole stretch is one massive Warlike Operations Area. We're talking about one of the most critical shipping lanes on the entire planet, and for sailors, it's the highest danger zone there is.
So what does it actually mean for a crew to sail into one of these zones? Well, it triggers this really powerful set of protections. First, they get a bonus equal to 100% of their basic pay, and that's for a minimum of 5 days, just for entering the area. Any compensation for death or disability is automatically doubled. And, most critically, they have the absolute right to refuse to sail into that area.
Let's just focus on that last right for a second, because it's a big one. If a seafarer decides, you know what, this risk is too much, they can demand to be sent home, and the company has to pay for it. And on top of that, they get 2 months of their basic wage as compensation. It's a really powerful way of saying that their personal safety comes first.
And it's not just about the crew's rights either. The ships themselves have to ramp things up. They have to adopt the highest level of maritime security measures out there, which is known as ISPS Level 3. That means way more vigilance, super strict access controls, and basically being in a state of constant readiness for any threat. These zones aren't just in the Red Sea. The Northern Black Sea and the Sea of Azov are also designated as warlike areas. It's a direct reflection of the ongoing war on Ukraine. It just goes to show you, this map isn't some dusty old chart. It literally changes as the world changes.
But, not all dangers are created equal. The ITF system gets that. That's why it creates different rules for the sustained threat of an active conflict versus, say, the more sporadic danger of piracy.
And that brings us over here, to the Gulf of Guinea, off the coast of West Africa. This whole huge area is classified as an extended risk zone. The main threat here isn't a military conflict, it's piracy and armed robbery out on the open sea.
But here's the thing, the rules are totally different. For a seafarer to get any of those special benefits, there has to be a confirmed attack. And the ITF defines this very, very specifically. It's got to be a willful attempt to board the ship, damage it, or harm the crew. So smaller stuff like an unarmed theft, that actually doesn't count. And this right here makes the difference crystal clear. In a warlike zone, you get the bonus just for being there. But in an extended risk zone, you only get paid that bonus on the specific day that your vessel is attacked. That is a massive distinction, and it's all based on the nature of the threat.
And here it is, the exact wording from the ITF agreement. The bonus applies only
on any day during which the vessel is attacked. This really highlights how the protection in these piracy zones is reactive. It happens after an attack, which is the opposite of the proactive protection you get in a warlike zone.
So, what's in the middle? Well, sitting between those two extremes, you have what's called a high-risk area. In these zones, the bonus is paid for the actual time you spend in transit. It's not the 5-day minimum, but it's also not only if you're attacked. It's a graded system, trying to match the pay to the actual level of risk.
So when you step back and look at the big picture, what does this map really show us? It's so much more than just a bunch of coordinates. It reveals the human cost of global commerce. It connects these abstract zones directly to worker safety and the messy reality of our supply chains.
Take a look here at the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. You can see a high-risk area sitting right next to an extended risk zone, which just goes to show you how complex and dynamic this situation is. These zones aren't set in stone. They are a fluid, direct reflection of global instability.
And that's so crucial to remember. This is a living document. It's updated all the time. As conflicts flare up and die down, as piracy hotspots shift from one place to another, these boundaries on the map get redrawn. It makes this one of the most reactive and vital maps in the entire world.
But at the end of the day, it all comes back to this fundamental principle. This quote, which applies in both warlike and high-risk zones, locks in the right not to proceed. It's the ultimate protection, really. It's the power given to one person to choose their own safety with the full backing of their union and an international agreement.
So I'll just leave you with this question. When you look at this map, all layered with these warlike zones and high-risk areas, what does it tell us about the true cost of all the stuff we rely on every single day? It's a reminder that behind every single product that crosses an ocean, there are people navigating a world of risk that most of us never even see.